This is Abia COVID-19 update. Abia COVID-19 update. Contact tracing is the bedrock of COVID-19 outbreak response. Contact tracing begins with engaging communities about the disease, how to protect individuals and their communities, and how to suppress transmission. And of course, contact tracing requires individuals to agree to daily monitoring, to be willing to report signs and symptoms of COVID-19 promptly, and to prepare to go into quarantine for at least 14 days or into isolation if they become symptomatic. Contact tracing is essential for finding and isolating cases and identifying and quarantining their contacts. Contact tracing has long been the bedrock of COVID-19 response, of any outbreak response, of course. And in the view of this, Abia state government yesterday flagged off community surveillance and testing for COVID-19, targeting 10,000 tests in 30 days. The coronavirus community surveillance and testing program, which is aimed at breaking the chain of transmission in the state and stem community spread of the disease. And the flagging off took place at the Umuahia South Local Government Headquarters, Apumiri, Ubakala, with the theme breaking the chain of transmission of COVID-19 in Abia State through community surveillance and testing. The governor of the state, Dr. Okezie Ikpeazu, was represented by the secretary to the state government and the chairman of the Interministerial Committee on COVID-19, Barrister Chris Ezem. The state commissioner for health, Dr. Joe Osuji, was also present, and he made known that the Ministry of Health has trained frontline contact tracers and sample collectors in all the 17 local government areas of Abia State with the aim of carrying out the massive sampling and testing of a target of 10,000 samples across 17 local government areas in Abia State. So what you need to do is to submit yourself for testing, especially if you're suspecting that you may have contracted COVID-19. So submit yourself at the various local government areas of Abia State. This is Abia State COVID-19 update, the second edition for the week. My name is Michael Oni, and of course on this program we highlight daily reports of the Interministerial Committee on the Control of COVID-19, as well as the Abia State Governor Okezie Ikpeazu's efforts in ensuring that the state is safe from the virus. This program is running simultaneously every weekday, Mondays through Fridays, on several radio stations, live on BCA 88.1 FM, Flow 94.9 FM, Vision Africa Radio 104.1 FM, Buzz 89.7 FM, and Real 99.1 FM, all in Abia State, the God's own state. Now, let's take a look at the global number of deaths, recovered cases, and of course the number of infections, and also take a look at some of the development. Global number of deaths stands at 613,355. That's as at 8 a.m. today. And meanwhile, the total number of infections worldwide stands at 14,859,536. Also, the number of recovered cases at 8,911 and 8,911,599. Now to the development, global development. Britain, that's the UK, has secured access to 90 million doses of potential coronavirus vaccines in deals with 3 biotech firms. The business secretary, Alok Sharma, said Britain will now have access to 3 different types of vaccines being developed domestically and around the world, and it had also launched a website for volunteers to sign up for vaccine studies. Britain has been one of the worst affected countries in the world since the outbreak began, suffering more than 45,000 deaths. Spain's coronavirus rate has tripled in 3 weeks after lockdown easing, but since restrictions on movement were lifted and Spaniards relaxed back into daily life, some 201 new clusters have appeared. And of course, A very good news this morning. Scientists at Oxford University say their experimental coronavirus vaccine has been shown in an early trial to prompt a protective immune response in hundreds of people who got the shot, in a research published yesterday in journal Lancet. Scientists said they found their experimental COVID-19 vaccine produced a dual immune response in people aged 18 to 55. That's a good one. Let's bring it back home to Nigeria. The confirmed coronavirus death toll in Nigeria exceeded 800 yesterday. A total of 552 new cases were recorded in the past 24 hours, bringing the total number of infections to 37,225. The Federal Capital Territory had the highest COVID-19 cases with 102, according to the Nigeria Center for Disease Control. The new COVID-19 cases were recorded in 20 states and the Federal Capital Territory, which brings the country's total infections to 37,225. 100 fresh infections were reported in Lagos, and that's the Nigeria's COVID-19 epicenter, with Plateau State having 52 cases. Other states with new cases for the day: Kwara State with 50, Abia State, our own Godson State, reported 47 new cases yesterday, Kaduna State with 35, Benue State with 34, Oyo State with 26, Ebonyi State with 24, Kano State with 16, Niger State with 15, Anambra State with 14, and Gombe State with 12. The rest cases for the day were found in Edo with 11, Rivers State with 6, Nasarawa State with 5, Delta State with 5, Borno State with 3, Enugu State with 2, Bauchi State with 2, and Kebbi State with 1. And similarly, the NCDC data showed that the number of persons infected with the virus in the country, 15,333, have been discharged. However, 21,082 cases are still active, with 801 deaths reported so far. And I have the latest concerning the Madagascar herb on COVID-19. A Nigerian agency has written off Madagascar herbal drug COVID Organic, touted as capable of providing cure for coronavirus. The National Institute for Pharmaceutical Research and Development said that its analysis of the drug, I quote, does not show any proof that it can cure COVID-19. Director General of the agency, Dr. Obi Adigwe, gave in an insight into the report it submitted to the government after laboratory assessment of the drug, said, and I quote, "Well, I cannot tell you what they have done. I can only tell you what we have done here. The analysis we gave in our report is more detailed than anything that had come from their country. They are hiding the analysis of their own product. If you go online, you cannot get the level of analysis that we gave. They are hiding a lot of things. I think it is possible that they know what they don't have strong science backing up their claim. You know, science takes time and it also needs a lot of money. That is what most people don't understand." End of quote. The institute said the drug, which contains mainly Artemisia annua, works to reduce the frequency of cough with maximum dose, producing an effect equivalent to that produced by the centrally acting cough suppressant dihydroxycodone. Well, it is still Abia State COVID-19 update, and of course, let's go straight to our discussion today. Yesterday, the governor of the state approved tax reliefs to residents of Abia State to mitigate the economic impact of the prevailing COVID-19 pandemic. And of course, that will be our discussion this morning, as we will be talking about that, what it entails in real terms, how an ordinary businessman who pays tax would benefit from the incentive. It is still Abia State COVID-19 update. This is Abia COVID-19 update. Abia COVID-19 update. All right, thank you very much for still very much listening to your radio set. It is still Abia State COVID-19 update, and of course live on several radio stations in the state: BCA FM, Flow FM, Vision Africa Radio, Buzz FM, and Real FM. And yesterday, to mitigate the economic impact of prevailing COVID-19 pandemic, the governor of the state, Dr. Okezie Ikpeazu, approved tax reliefs to residents of Abia. Thank you very much for still very much listening to your radio site. It is still Abia State COVID-19 update, and of course live on several radio stations in the state: BCA FM, Flow FM, Vision Africa Radio, Buzz FM, and Real FM. And yesterday, to mitigate the economic impact of prevailing COVID-19 pandemic, the governor of the state, Dr. Okezie Ikpeazu, approved tax reliefs to residents of Abia State. And of course, we will take it down today in specific terms how a businessman will enjoy those benefits, and of course the figures released by the state government yesterday. We have joining us this morning in the studio Mr. Celestine Agbara, the acting chairman, chief executive, Abia State Internal Revenue Service. Glad to have you join us this morning on Abia State COVID-19 update.
Thank you, the presenter.
All right, let's begin. Some figures were released yesterday. It's in the public domain, and we want explanation on those figures. Small-scale industries, artisans, tax clearance. We want you to break it down in specific terms.
Okay. Thank you, the presenter, and thank you, Abia citizens. You are all welcome to this program. We are glad to make this public and for public consumption, so that everybody will be aware of the situation of what we are doing and how our Excellency, the Governor of Abia State, Dr. Okezie Ikpeazu, is working hard to make life meaningful and easier to the residents of Abia State. In this COVID period, the government is not unaware of the sufferings of the masses in this system. So when the COVID became too hard, because so many people were not going to work, businesses stopped, both big and small businesses. There was a total shutdown sometime specifically in April. So the government, through our governor, was not unaware of the sufferings of the masses of Abia indigenes. He started a program of palliatives where food items and other necessary items were distributed to indigenes of the state, especially the downtrodden. Okay. That thing was targeted on the downtrodden, those who cannot afford to eat in that COVID period, especially the artisans and small-scale industries whose businesses were completely shut down, and daily rated workers who can only earn living in their families by going to work on daily basis. He had this situation really touched our governor. He said, no, my people will not go just like that. He started palliative measures to cushion the effect on and to give smiles on the faces of these citizens of the state. Okay. So bags of rice, Indomie, and several other things were distributed. As I learned, even by last week, some of the churches and some other areas were still getting palliatives. So he decided to say no. These palliatives, in as much as it is crossing across the domain of poor individuals, small-scale people, artisans, etc. He said no, he will extend it to other areas so that the general populace of his people in Abia State will as well benefit as it touches one sector or the other. Okay. Thank you.
So let's talk about the tax waiver now. The sectors and their respective waivers. What was given and how we can benefit, how Abians can benefit from this waiver. I understand that small-scale industries, artisans, and all forms of personal income taxes, direct taxes, they'll be given some percentage discount. Can you break it down for us? What and how are those what have been given as waiver, and those that will benefit from the waivers are given?
Thank you. If you look at the palliative the governor adopted for the past 3 or 4 months ago, he said no, this should cut across the whole spectrum of the states. So, one, he identified that if we continue the usual way we drive taxes and other revenues in the state, the poor masses will be highly affected. Even the rich will as well, because some of them lost a huge amount of income by not attending to their daily work on regular basis. So an issue we came up with idea that the tax-paying public should as well be given some palliatives in the area of tax payment and revenue, other revenues. The governor immediately welcomed the issue and gave approval as follows. 1. Small-scale industries and artisans. Small-scale industries and artisans. During the lockdown, these people were grossly affected. Their business, some of them, so many of them, their businesses completely stopped. And now the lockdown has started relaxing. We will now start making move to collect revenues and taxes. The governor said no. In this area now, give these people, reduce the level of taxes they pay and other revenues they pay. That's 1. Those in small scale industries and artisans, small industries and artisans, paying PAYE and all forms of personal income taxes through direct taxes. 2. Filing and the payment for the past 3 years. The governor decided to say for these small scale industries and artisans, both their employees who are paying PAYE and all other forms of personal income taxes, 25% waiver stroke discount for payment from now till end of July will attract 25%.
Okay.
In August, from first day of August to the last day of August 2020, it will go down to 20% waiver. The amount you will pay in tax, assuming you are paying 100,000 naira, I'm giving an example. Assuming your tax is 100,000, you are bound to pay this year 75,000. And assuming in August, assuming your tax is 100,000, you are bound to pay 80,000. Then in September, the thing goes down to 15% waiver.
Okay. So what are the categories of industries in this particular category? Artisans, small-scale industries. I want you to give us an example.
Okay, the small-scale industries, if you come to Abia State, the governor is not unaware of the class of industries that make up Abia spectrum. We have industries, small, medium, and capital-intensive industries. Abia has a cluster of small-scale industries. People who have the establishment has between 1 to 5 and mostly 10 workers working for them.
So they are to benefit from this.
Some of them may have up to 15. Salaries are very low. Some pay close to minimum wage level or little above minimum level, salary structure.
So those in that
these are the small scale industries.
Will enjoy 25%
exactly.
waiver for payment from now to end of July 2020.
Exactly.
20% waiver for payment in August 2020.
Sure.
15% in September 2020.
Exactly.
Okay. The next category.
Then for this class of people we have given and the small scale industries and these artisans, you know it's an offense every year if you don't send in your return to tell us, give us your nominal roll tax payment, the nominal roll of your staff, the gross emoluments you pay them in a year, and their monthly salary. You're supposed to do that.
Okay. Before
from January to 30th March of every year. If you don't do that, the Internal Revenue Service has the power, capacity to prosecute you, and if you are captured under that if you are caught under that condition, you will pay a fine of 50,000 naira per year. if you are an individual. But if you're a corporate organization, you pay 500,000. Over the years, the Internal Revenue Service is aware of this situation. So based on that, the state decided to grant, since the COVID came specifically from March to this date, we decided to extend the filing of these returns to the next, for the past 3 years, you have to file the returns to us before the end of September. So after September, those who fail to file returns, whether personal income tax or small scale industries or artisans, we will now start prosecuting and getting this 50,000 naira from them. But for now, you are at liberty. If you file your return, send these things, that payment will not happen to you. So you better use this opportunity. Bring your nominal rule, no matter how small your business is. Give us your nominal rule, total payment of your workers on monthly and annual basis, so that we will now file your return and escape this prosecution and the payment of that 50,000 naira into 6 if you've not filed for 6 years. If you filed only for 2 years, you pay for 4 years. If you have not, the number of times you filed. But if we discover that you are not caught in the web of this non-filing of returns, nothing will happen to you. You have filed and complied with the relevant tax laws.
All right. Time will not permit to go into other categories of the waiver and also the tax relief now because of our time. It is fast spent. But I want to really appreciate you for your time on the program this morning, Mr. Celestine Agbara. Thank you very much. And for more information, I believe someone can come down to your office. Probably let's give the location of the office so that those that will benefit from this will not have an idea that something like this is going on. There is a relief given by the government for businesses and industries in Abia State. So thank you very much, Mr. Celestine Agbara, the Acting Chairman, Chief Executive, Abia Internal Revenue Service. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Michael.
All right.
But before I finally leave the studio, please, you should come and use this opportunity. We've reduced first issue of tax clearance certificate to 30,000 in this month, 35 and 40 as the month's rule.
Okay.
Capital gains has been reduced drastically if you come this month to half of the amount you're supposed to pay previously. So come now and capitalize on this. And as well, come to the office for more explanation, or we give you the chart so that you can go home and read and understand.
All right, thank you very much.
Time to not permit me to finish all I have. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Celestine. And that's it this morning on the program Abia State COVID-19 update. Don't forget, keep staying safe and take responsibility. Many thanks to the partner radio stations, BCA FM, Flow FM, Buzz FM, Real FM, and Vision Africa Radio. My name is Michael Oni.
This is Abia COVID-19 update. Abia COVID-19 update.